Hello, true duelists. YGO Strats here, realizing rather abruptly that I haven't made today's video quite yet. So rather than force out a half-assed you should play video, I figure I'll make this instead. What is this? That's a good question. I've got a very similar question because my question's more what the fuck, as in, what the fuck is Starry Night? It is such an interesting deck art-wise, or at least for me, and even gameplay-wise. Truly a deck primed for the 2010 format's meta, and released just in time for it in 2021. 11 years too late at the minimum, because I don't actually know how it would hold up in the 2010 format. What was that, like Black Wings and Rescue Cat? Early Plant Synchro, I think. It probably would struggle against those as well. Look, I just want to play the neat looking fairy dudes with the big boy boss dragon monster. It's based on Starry. Nope. It's based on
Starry.
That old ass dragon card that we all thought was so valuable back in like 2002 and was probably worth $15 million because everything that's sparkly must be. It appeals to my nostalgia of the early game, and it is a dragon, which means I personally am contractually obligated to like it. I guess supposed to have a solid little loop of disruption in its games with its engine. At least I'm pretty sure that's what's going on here. The dragon pops a monster when normal or special summoned, exclusively from the hand. You can also banish a monster to attack again to try and cheat out game. But the main thing, the whole gimmick that the deck is based around, is to loop it back to your hand and then summon it from your hand. Yes, that's right, an entire deck whose end game is to bounce its own boss monster. Why? Why can't I just recur it from the hand or the grave or anywhere to get the pop? Why can't it pop on summon? Why make it bad on purpose? I don't get it. And the support. Rael is a Stratos for your spell and trap, and can banish itself from grave to revive any other Starry Night monster, including the dragon. But fuck you, you don't get an effect for that. Idiot god, what are you, dumb? You think these are good cards? Nah man, they're Starry Nights. Do they have a lone fire to get out the all-important dragon so you can see access to it and have it on the field at least? No, they have a tribute to summon it from the hand. Which is cool, you get to trigger the dragon. But what if I don't have the dragon in my hand yet? You just draw it. You just draw the card, just draw the card, just draw better. Why don't we fucking design cards better? Have we tried that for a change? Okay, even the honest, the battle trap of this deck has the effect to just summon the dragon from your hand. And it can banish itself to bounce the dragon back to the hand, so you can keep doing it. But what if you don't have the dragon? Shut up. Shut up. They also have Seal here, which can bounce a Starry Night. I guess ideally the dragon, since we don't want to control our own boss monster in this deck for whatever reason. And it has another effect to summon the dragon from your hand by banishing itself. So just open the dragon. I'll get to the searches in a minute. Just open the dragon. Orbital, I don't know, Orbital, also will get your spell and trap, but it has to tribute a monster to do it. And it can revive itself to bounce your own boss monster. That's, wow, mad good and stuff. Love not being able to make an actual push for game. Their Rhoda is actually solid. It's probably like the one good card in the deck. And it follows this deck's theme of hating the opponent's dark monster specifically, that I've yet to care to mention at this point, because is it important sometimes? Sure. Is it irrelevant most of the time? Yeah, more often than not. Because that is exactly what this game needed. Card design based off of Ally of Justice. It failed miserably in 2009, so surely a decade later it'll be just as good. Ceremony is another card that they have, which will trade in one of your fairies in hand for the dragon. Meaning you've now got 6 ways to search it, and if you're playing 3 of it, that's 9 of in the deck. Oh boy. It also lets you summon the dragon from the hand, but only in response to the opponent doing things. Yes, that's right, a Rhoda that occasionally has to get rid of your only normal summon in hand to search out the dragon, and will not only lose to Ash Blossom, but also Ghost Ogre. Fantastic. The field spell is an extra normal summon once per turn, which is groovy and helps you really make Starry Night's strongest opening play of Hip Hoshin no to fucking can't say that card's name.
Hip Hoshin Engine.
And pass, because this deck is really just cracked. It does also let you draw a card if you summon the dragon on your turn specifically, which is okay, but also kind of shitty, because I'd rather be summoning it on the opponent's turn to disrupt their plays. The traps at least look cool aesthetically, especially Blast here. It can bounce the dragon to negate a card or effect and destroy it, and has a once per turn clause, because apparently they figured that this deck would be just getting too many dragons on field and that it'd be an issue if you could do it more than once, which is one of the funniest things from all of 2021 if you ask me. Arrival is the continuous trap that lets you either bounce the dragon to your hand or summon it from your hand. It's like the best card in the deck, kind of, in terms of letting you do what it is you want to be doing, because it lets you just summon out the dragon for free. No need to wait for the opponent to do things to make your plays, you can just make them on turn 2 if you went first. The only problem is you only get one of its effects and once per turn, so you can't summon the dragon and then bounce it to disrupt the opponent and then have it back on your turn for more disruption. You have to play the really super slow grindy game, which is great in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It does so well against most things, and everyone loves it when it does actually do well. Yep, sure, the continuous spell might cheat out the dragon, but only if the opponent uses a card or effect and then can't negate or get rid of the dragon. And if the opponent is using a card or effect in 2021 or, any year after, it's pretty safe to assume that the card or effect is going to be just no in some number of words. Do you know what it's like trying to do a 2 or 3 card combo in 2022? In the current meta, in current year? Do you know DPE exists? This deck has the anti-dark clause, and DPE still doesn't give a shit and absolutely ruins anything this deck is going for. It's actually funny. In 2013, Wind Up Shark and Wind Up Magician was a 2-card combo to make Shockmaster that shut out the opponent from playing entirely. Just, you're not playing this game. Stop, calm down. No, you're done. In 2022, Starry Night Dragon and Arrival is a 2-card combo that pops 1 card the opponent controls and loses to MST. If you look at people trying to play this deck competitively, because copium is a real and addictive drug, I suppose, it is using Ties of the Brethren. That is the best thing this deck can do, is open Ties of the Brethren, which historically has been used by Magical Musketeers and Magispector, which, if you aren't aware, are 2 of the strongest decks in its entirety, and has truly set the stage for Ties being just a staple of good, fun, good playable decks. What does it do with its Ties that Magispector can +2 off of, and Magical Musketeer gets like extra disruptions and searches and all that jazz? Well, Starry Night does not get searches because the Stratos only searches on normal summon, not special, so it's functionally just an idiot that does nothing. And then the other target's usually a barrier statue for light monsters. Yes, by paying 2,000 life points, you can have the worst version of the worst aspect of Fluwanderee's end boards, and absolutely no means to protect it. The deck's best play is to ultimately stall out losing by 1 extra turn. And if you're playing against a light deck, my boss would call it time theft. If you did this and you were being paid for it, you would be tried for time theft. You would be written up for your actions. Really, who made this? Why can't they just be playable? They don't need to be good, just playable. And look, I get it. They are far from the only unplayable archetype or series in this game. Digital Bug, Iron Chain, Venom, Gen X, Ally of Justice, really like any 90% of the decks that came from Hidden Arsenal. Did you know that there is a spider archetype? A whole archetype of just spiders, and they kind of involve defense position. They're all worthless. They suck. So this is hardly a new thing for Yu-Gi-Oh! I know. Starry Night will not be the last deck that's just garbage. I'm just annoyed because it's one that I think looks cool. And I don't think I'm alone in that. Plus, the core strategy seems like it'd be fun if you can do it. If you can manage to loop the dragon and pop cards, chip away at the opponent's plays, it could be a fun little gimmicky deck. Make you feel real big brain smart for holding your disrupt to the right time, or catching them off guard with the trap card that negates things. Poke for game after a few turns. But there's like maybe 2 decks in this deck's wheelhouse. Maybe, because you need the stupid dragon, and all the support doesn't say specifically the dragon. They say light level 7 dragon, so you're omitting some of the other things you could be doing with this deck. But that's just a ruse to make you think that there's hope, because there isn't. The only other like halfway decent level 7 light dragon to play is Archbrave Dragon, which, fun fact, will revive the dragon from the grave and not even get you the pop. It's also only a 2500 beater, which, like, I get it. It's the C-Ruru card, or however you say it. The 2500 attack is there. And, like, there's the soft rule where, like, no main deck level 7 has more than 2800 attack or so. I get it. There's one of them banishes to give extra attack too, but it's pretty rough when you're struggling to get over 2500, because other decks do that too, or have like Burning Abyss. But whereas Starry Night just fucking dies the moment a Yazi hits the board, Burning Abyss at least has a grind game and some disruption and a chance to do things. I don't even bother trying to play this deck in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! In any capacity. It sucks. It is ass. It is human dog shit. It raises my blood pressure thinking how terrible this deck is. Okay? It would struggle to stay at table 500. And I don't mean that in the sense where like it would struggle to get down to that rating. It's like banned in speed runs for table 500 any percent speed run. Like, it's busted. It breaks the meta of being terrible. I mean, it would struggle to stay as high as table 500 because you'd be going lower. Tournament judges will approach you if you take Starry Night to an event, because you're not allowed to just say the opponent wins. You can't just sign the win slip and give it to them. You have to have it like an actual duel, and this deck doesn't do enough to do that. It just shows up and loses, and that's not allowed. You can't just give out free dubs like that. You will be disqualified. That is a real warning I have to give you when talking about this deck, okay? My point is, I don't play it in a modern setting. I play it in what I call Mutt format. Mutt format is the thing that my friends and I play when we hang out occasionally after we've played out some modern games, and we're just sitting here sweating. We're just paying money and casually going hard to top no fucking event. We're just the highest level of competitive that casual can be, of just, you know, disrespecting our own dollar to really push the limits on what Lightsworn, Dragon Maid, and Paleo Frog can do so that they can still lose to Sprite. Point being, it's Mutt format. We're done with that stuff. We're gonna go play some older nonsense stuff. It's almost entirely decks from the roughly 2012 era. Dino Rabbit, and we got Hero like Bubble Beat. We got a Frog Monarch deck. We got Tengu Plant. We got old school stuff. But we're still playing like modern rulings. So like no draw going first. Ignition isn't a thing. We're kind of skewing out whatever formats are. So like Dino Rabbit has a Ghost Trick Alucard in it because it doesn't break the format, and my friend's like, we should do it, and I'm like, I ain't fucking scared. So it's a Mutt. My point is, it's cute, it's fun, it's relaxed, but I think this deck could do okay in it. The key word is think, because it still might suck. I don't know. I'm just hoping that a meta where Bottomless Trap Hole can actually turn a duel around is slow enough for me to draw out and then summon the dragon. If that format is still too fast, then I will personally send a letter of congratulations to Konami for making a deck that is truly timeless. Not because it can be played at any time, but because it can be played at no time and in no format. It just is unplayable, which is an accomplishment in and of itself, I think. One that raises my blood pressure, but still. This is completely out of left field, but I played Pokemon relatively competitively back when I could gatekeep it like the 17-year-old asshole that I was. And back then I paid attention to Smogon and all that jazz. And while Smogon could ultimately just be a bunch of gatekeeping assholes who were either 17 years old physically or at least mentally, I do at least respect the core premise of it and think that Yu-Gi-Oh! Could use something similar. Team APS actually made a video recently enough kind of talking about how crazy modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is, and broadly I can agree with it. The top tiers of this game are insane and can be unwelcoming to new players to say the least. But Yu-Gi-Oh! Is more than just tier limits, summoning window on my turn when going first and disrespecting the sanctity of everything in this game. There's a lot of formats and decks that are on more equal footing and allow for a more back and forth, some more casual fun as opposed to competitive fun, is how I'll choose to put this. And I would love to see the community try and come up with like a loose tier list akin to the Smogon tier listings, just in terms of decks of similar power levels. That is a lot easier said than done due to Yu-Gi-Oh's generic pool of cards, because there's plenty of decks that cannot survive an evenly matched. Like, there's just, Nibiru will end a number of decks' turns, or Dark Ruler No More, any other blowout going second card which exists. Which means that you're managing not just core engines and what they do and how they interact, but also how they interact with the generic power cards. So you almost have to make like two tier lists in this sense of like the category for ones dealing with blowout good generic spell and trap and monsters, and ones where it's just kind of the deck's cores by themselves. Which also does mean ranking the power cards, because how devastating is Twin Twister compared to MST? Because if you Twin Twister my Starry Night setup of Arrival and Ceremony or the Field Spell, I will cry. I will break down a man destroyed. Mentally and a little bit physically too, because I did work to get the money to pay for these cards. So like there's some sweat involved in the making and acquiring of these cards. I'm completely off the walls here. I gave up on keeping this script like streamlined in any sense before I even started writing it, because this was not a planned video in the slightest. I just looked at my Starry Night deck and got annoyed. I just want to play the stupid but neat Fairy Dragon deck. I might film some duels of me playing it. I want to just sit down and test it in Mutt format, as I call it. Make it my goal to figure out where and how this deck could be played in any capacity. Who knows? I'm done. I'm gonna edit this video. I have to, put a video out today by my own schedule. So, gonna do that and then sleeve some Digimon decks. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. I'm not scared. Okay? Subscribe and comment and like the video, and also feel free to comment and tell my buddy Mark in the comments of this video that I'll edit those Dragon Maid Paleo Lightsworn duels. I'll do it next week, because then I can keep saying I'll do it next week, every week, until it's been months and the format's dead and Toad gets hit and I'm uploading duels featuring Toads, and it's a lot funnier if I can keep being lazy. So do that, and fuck it, I'm done.